And now, here she is from San Diego, California. Not fat and not thirsty anymore. Your host, Timmy Gleason.
Hi, I'm your Health Strategy Radio host, Timmy Gleason from Fat and Thirsty Radio on Amazing Women of Power on the Raven International Network. I'm ready to grab a glass of water and get started. I'll be drinking 24 ounces while we talk, and I invite you to do the same while you listen in your car or at home. Are you ready? Today my guest is Ursula Grisey. Ursula is a retired civil employee. She's 47 years old, and she's a 3-time breast cancer survivor. And I thought she'd be a great person to talk to on the show today. Most recently, Ursula has been struggling with a brain tumor, which resulted in a loss of many of her social freedoms, like being able to live independently, and retain the right to drive a car, and at times being able to speak clearly and stand up and walk without a loss of balance. These are things, of course, that we take for granted. So for Ursula, there's been many times in the last 18 months when her friends and family have wondered if we were going to lose her and if she was maybe battling overwhelming odds. And here we are 18 months later, and Ursula is rallying and making strides in her recovery, and she has an amazing attitude that helps keep her going. And that's what the feature of our show is today. I visited her recently in an assisted living facility where she resides, and I found her attitude and her reinvented lifestyle to be really remarkable. Here's this woman sitting in bed with her computer and her cell phone, and she's got wonderful relationships with all the people around her who are helping her, and I was just really attracted to that and wanted to have her on the show to talk about that. She got my attention because she's really better organized than I am. She actually sent out holiday cards, which, even I couldn't get my act together to do that. And she was wondering how we were all doing, and I thought that was amazing. She also got my attention because after many months of not hearing from her, she has resumed sending out her uplifting emails and remembering birthdays just like the good old days. So after visiting her in person to discuss her approach and how she's living with so much enthusiasm and concern for others. So, Ursula, are you with us?
I sure am.
Great. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
This is wonderful. I'm excited about it.
Oh, thank goodness. It's so great to hear from you. So I invited you on the show today because I wanted to share some of your insights. You have some incredible ways of looking at life. Your health has been so challenging, and many of us might give up. I wonder if I had to give up the lifestyle I have right now, would I be motivated or would I be just so frustrated by the setbacks? And so I wanted to ask you some questions that I hope will help bring some insight into the points of our show today. The title of the show is Healthy Secrets to Overcoming Medical Challenges. Would you be open to some questions?
I would love to help you out on it.
Okay, super. So first of all, how long have you been struggling with your health?
It has been a long journey for me. I have had cancer since 2005, and it started out with breast cancer, and then I had chemo and radiation, and then I thought, I beat this. Let's go on a cruise, and I went on a cruise with my mom, only to come back and find out that the cancer had spread. And so then I had cancer in my one set of lungs. And then it moved to my other set of lungs. And then it moved to my brain. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I did not appreciate having so much cancer, but there are some fantastic medical breakthroughs. And, it worked out okay. I'm not thrilled to still have cancer because the ones that settled in my brain are still there and still very much of a challenge. But like I said, it could be so much worse. And so I'm getting the best of both worlds with the care from the doctors and taking it from there.
Well, good. Well, you I know one of the things you told me was that you had reset your birth date. What did that mean?
Oh, yeah. I reset my birth date because, I mean, I still have the one that I was born with, but everybody does something that has kind of like a banner way of looking at life, and my banner way of looking at life was getting a new email address that was very personal to me. And so my new email address has everything to do with a birth date. And so it gems, or it actually starts out life, LIFE _gems, 2008. And to me, January of 2008 is my new birth date because that's when it all started again. I didn't get rid of the cancer, but I acknowledged that I have it, and I'm going forward with it, and I'm accepting of it.
So that's
my new birth date.
Yeah, that's good. That's your way you remember it. It's actually an affirmation, I think. Is every time you send an email, you're reaffirming your life.
Well, that's a good way to look at it because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just saying, it's here and I'm okay with it.
Well, you've been through a lot, and I think, that loss of control over lifestyle is what we all worry about and probably would be challenged with if we were in your shoes. And you said to me, I focus on things I can do. And I think the key word here is that you focus. There's two things. There's what you can do, but it's also the fact that you focus on what is possible instead of what is impossible. What does it mean to you on a day-to-day basis to do this?
To do what is possible, the focus really is important to me because there is so much I can't do. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy being able to look at my life and see that, that maybe I can't feed myself anymore and maybe I can't dress myself anymore, but I sure can have a good attitude about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I do. And
so how do you have a good attitude about not being able to dress yourself?
Oh, you know what? I find other things that are just equally enjoyable. Mm-hmm. You even mentioned it too, my computer. What a lifesaver my computer is. Mm-hmm. Or my iPod, something that my sister got for me that I enjoy spending time with. Mm-hmm. I love being busy in ways that I need to be just so that I can kind of float.
Just staying on this idea of how do you stay positive when you can't dress yourself, is that you have a really special relationship with the people around you that are there in the assisted living.
Yes, I do. I have some fantastic nurses. In fact, we were just talking about it this morning. The nurses are wonderful. My sister's coming later, and she's always wonderful, as you know. Mm-hmm. So it is so great to have people around me that just go that extra yard to understand the type of woman I am. Mm-hmm. And I have wonderful friends. Well, you know it. Truly, truly wonderful friends that meet me more than halfway to understand where I'm coming from and where I'm going. Such a good feeling. Such a good feeling.
I think that you set the tone for that. I think it's easier for your friends to be supportive because you're workable. They actually see what they could do to help you because you're in a positive space.
I think you're right.
Yeah. That's certainly been true for me as even in doing this show was immediately upon talking to you, I saw possibility for a conversation about this. So to your credit. You also had said to me that you wanted to be remembered for who you were, for how you were being, versus what you had done. And I know that you had mentioned in the past that you used to do a lot of things for people. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I do like to be remembered for what I can offer people. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think that everybody thinks that it's, if you die or if you don't die, and I know I went through a real morbid stage for a long time, that I was concerned that I was not going to be able to offer my friends or my family the justice that comes with giving myself a fair shake. But now I'm beyond that, and so now I feel really strong in the person that I am. Mm-hmm. And I know that if I say that I can do X or Y, I can do X or Y. And that, too, is a very good feeling, a very strong feeling.
Well, that was one thing I got in visiting you in your room, was that the people that were coming and going, helping you, really respected you and loved you and knew you. That was the thing that really charmed me, was they knew you. They knew, like I think you were having lunch, and they knew what you wanted, like you might want your dressing, or you might want for your salad, or you might want some other condiment, and they kind of were second-guessing you. And I thought that was really charming, that, there was that intimacy between you and the people that are supporting you there.
You are so right, because they have set it all up for me now, and all I do is have to ask for something, and it's there, and they almost anticipate my needs, but they do it in such a way that it is okay with them, and definitely okay with me.
Yeah, it seemed really charming. One of the other things that you had said to me was that you refuse to look at your challenges as negative. What does that mean to you? Mm-hmm.
Well, a negative to me is not necessarily a positive thing anymore. So when I get around to working the negatives in my life, I really have to think back and think, is this a negative or is this a positive? And I have decided that almost everything at this point is a positive, because that's the way I want to view it. It's really important to me that my friends and family know that I consider my interactions with them a positive, and that I take it from that viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. That's really remarkable, and that again goes back to that whole aspect of focusing on what you focus on are the results you get. It's very good.
Yes.
Yes, it sounds like you've really found some new opportunities, and you're taking advantage of those, and that's really wonderful.
Yes.
We're gonna take for our listeners here. We're gonna take a little break. You're listening to Timmy Gleason speaking with Ursula Grisay on Fat and Thirsty Radio, Amazing Women of Power Radio 24/7 on the Raven International Radio, and we'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kit Goldman, president of the Workplace Training Network. We are proud to sponsors of Fat and Thirsty Radio Show. Workplace Training Network provides powerful, entertaining, interactive training to businesses on topics like harassment, discrimination, communication, and violence prevention. We deliver it live at your workplace or online or on DVD, and it is incredibly affordable, even for the smallest business. Our clients range from kitchen table entrepreneurs to mom-and-pop businesses to multinational corporations. Our training has never been more important to the health, safety, and well-being of your workplace. So let us know how we can help your business, or please let your employer know that you've heard about a great way to train. Now, here's how to reach me. Give me a call at 619-794-2718. That's 619-794-2718. Or visit us at workplacetrainingnetwork.com. That's workplacetrainingnetwork.com. See what our clients have to say and see how affordably we can take care of your training.
Welcome back to Fat and Thirsty Radio. I'm Timmy Gleason, and I'm speaking with Ursula Grisay. And in case you're just joining us, we'll recap briefly. Ursula has been battling cancer for about 8 years, and she thought she had beat it, and then she started to have more problems with cancer spreading to her lungs and ultimately to her brain. And with that came complications, and needless to say, she's been on many medications currently, which have had side effects, which are causing many challenges. But we're talking to Ursula because she, like many of us, has an intriguing approach to addressing her challenges. And when you're on meds or when you're not feeling well, how you approach your challenges is really important. So Ursula, welcome back, and we were just discussing those decisions you've made to change your life while you've been going through your loss of physical freedom. And we've been talking about the fact that, you know, even though we lose our physical freedom, we still have freedom of choice, and we still can make changes in our lives.
True enough.
And, you know, how do you feel about you losing your freedom?
I actually hated it. I remember the first few years I breathed. You know, they said that there was an actual term for what I was going through, and I did. I was crying all the time about losing certain modalities and not being able to walk and not being able to stand, and it was very, very difficult for me to give up. Well, I didn't willingly give it up, but to give up those modalities and know that I was losing so many freedoms of movement and you know, those were the biggest ones, the freedoms of movement.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, all of us have such busy lives. Nobody wants to lose that. But you've capitalized on this. You've gotten your freedom back. How have you done that?
Well, I've been fortunate again. I have some wonderful friends and family who have stepped up and they said, you know what, Ursula, we don't care that you can't drive. We'll get you wherever you have to go. I'm just finishing the lasting details, but I have doctors who are coming forward and helping me out with an electronic wheelchair so that I can get around, which is great because I only have the use of the one arm. Mm-hmm. And fantastic feeling just to know that they're behind me 150%. It will come together, and I'm convinced it will come together. It's just sometimes it seems like it's taking more time.
Yeah, so there's still freedom, though. There's freedom to be happy. There's freedom to reach out to other people.
Oh, yeah. It has nothing to do with the way I'm feeling, the way I can move. Now my freedom has everything to do with what's inside. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of good stuff inside, mm-hmm. and a lot of good stuff that's supported by friends and family.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. You know, you've been able to basically turn lemons into lemonade. You've embraced the downside of some of the things that have happened, and you've turned them into opportunities to make lifestyle changes. I'm going to guess that you've discovered that experimenting with this approach, that there's just a lot more options than what you'd imagined. And the thing that strikes me as you've reframed many of your experiences. You'd mentioned that you have a lot of support around you with your family, and you know, I think I found it always fascinating that you have a twin sister, and
yes.
then you have your parents around, and not everybody has that. But let's talk briefly about how everybody in your family has been able to pitch in, and some of the ways that you have let your friends pitch in. And I'm going to say let your friends, because not all of us would be willing to receive and to let people help us.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with my twin sister because she's by far been the closest person to me, and she comes at least twice a week, if not 3 times a week, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. In fact, she's going to be here sometime today. Mm-hmm. She comes, and sometimes she just sits with me. And for a long time, especially over Christmas as I was doing all my Christmas shopping, I had a lot of stuff for her to do that kind of wore her out, but she put up with it, and we went on. I have a younger sister who lives further away, and she's not really able to help, but she did for a few months help me.
Mm-hmm.
I have parents that live in North County, San Diego, and they're fantastic too. When their health permits, they're available, and they come down and help me.
Mm-hmm.
I have other siblings, but they're not as readily available.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's just kind of the way it is,
Yeah, it is. I mean, in reality, families, the people that feel like they can help you and the ones that feel like they can't, don't, and that's the way it is.
But then I have some fantastic friends, friends that through the breast cancer group that I belong to that are always available. They say, just call me, Ursula. We'll come help you. And such a good feeling to know that all I do is have to do exactly that. Call them, and they'll drop whatever they're doing and come help me. I have some that come, like every 6 weeks. Then I have some that will come every week if I need them to.
Okay, so here's
people.
This is, I think, a really important point about friends. Sometimes your friends are new friends. Sometimes your friends change based on the circumstances in your life, and you have pockets of friends. And these are friends who you've developed friendships with over the last 8 years or so. Is that right?
Yes.
They're not like your lifetime friends or people that you grew up with. And I think that sometimes we get kind of judgmental about who can be our friends, or, maybe we even lay trips on the people we've known our whole lives that they're supposed to behave a certain way, when really there's this other opportunity, or there's these extended families of people that can really help us when we need them the most.
Well, that is an excellent point, because the friends that I now circulate with are only over the last 8 years, and they're wonderful. They do so much for me, and yet I can't say that 9 years ago they were my friends, because I didn't know them 9 years ago, and they didn't know me. But we would do anything for each other now, and maybe in 10 or 11 years our friendship will drift apart, but I am benefiting in such a positive way from their participation in my life.
So, I mean, that would be my thought to the people listening to the show, is that don't limit who your friends are. Sometimes we're reunited with old souls that we've known some other way, and they're there for us in ways that we could never have imagined, and it's just incredibly valuable.
Yes.
There's been a lot of really great points that have come out of our conversation, and right off the bat, you gave us an idea about how we can be creative with our lives. We can, rebrand our email. We can rebrand our names, some of us. We can rebrand little aspects of our lives. I know I just rebranded how I sign checks. And there's little things we can do that we might overlook to bring some sparkle and some freshness into our lives. And so I wanted to thank you for that story about how you reclaimed your birthday and rebranded your email. The other thing that's come out of this is that we all have the freedom to be happy, even when our lives are tough. It takes a lot of work to see the positive. It's challenging, but we have the freedom to be happy. And even though we might lose certain freedoms, we always have that. We have ourselves, and we need to really do that hard work. How is it? What do you have to say about doing that hard work? I mean, here you've been, not able to stand, sometimes not able to speak, sometimes probably not even able to think clearly, and yet you've done that internal work. What gave you? What are the inner resources that were there for you?
I'm very determined, I guess is the only way I can look at it. I refused to give up. I wanted more for my life, and so I was going to push ahead till I could get there, and I did. And I feel so much better for doing it because there's so much out there on both sides. It's not like I'm a one-dimensional person. I have as much to offer now with, when I'm going to say broken, but I don't need it in a bad way, than I did beforehand. And I'm so thrilled that I have as much to offer because then my family meets me halfway and my friends meet me halfway, and life goes on.
Yeah. So to that point, that would be one of our closing points here is that we do have the freedom to love others and to choose not to be victims, and that also frees up our friends and family to be able to serve us easier. There's less baggage, there's less emotionalism there, and we can just freely give of each other back and forth, which is really great.
Yes.
You'd also talked about how you've de-stressed your life, and of course I'm sure that being in a facility, some of that is automatic where they remove some of the stresses, but this intention to de-stress your life, can you think of 2 or 3 things you've done to stop being?
Well, it definitely changed my food so that I eat healthier.
Okay.
Which is nice. I went to a more, I'm going to say a healthier diet because I have celery now, and I have apples, and I have cucumbers, and those are things I love. But I had to work really hard with the facility to put that kind of food back in my diet because I'm not into cooked vegetables. I like raw vegetables. Let's see, other ways that I de-stressed my life. We did talk about this a little bit. Sleeping, and if it's not sleeping, it is definitely resting because that's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
versus driving yourself into the ground, right? Versus trying to get all these other things done, not having time to rest.
And I have the time now. I just don't have to. I just don't have to pussyfoot around.
Mm-hmm. And then we are also talking about challenges don't have to be negative, that we can choose to see them in a positive way. And the other thing that we didn't talk about, but that I see very clearly, is that when the odds are against us, we have the opportunity to inspire others. Or not.
And we do.
Yes. And to choose to inspire others. I think you're probably an inspiration to your doctors. You said the doctors were helping you get some certain kind of equipment. It's probably your tenaciousness that has really inspired them.
Well, thank you. Yes, they go out of their way to help me.
Can you think of any other tips you would give the audience today?
Not exactly, but I think we covered some great things, and I'm very happy with what you put out there.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us today, for taking the time, for getting the support from your staff around there to close the doors so we could have uninterrupted interview, and I really appreciate it. If I'm going to be telling the audience that if any of you would like to communicate with Ursula, you're invited to send her a message through Fat and Thirsty, the Fat and Thirsty website, which is www.fatandthirstyradio.com, and just let me know that it's for her, and I will make sure that she gets the message. And I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for joining us today and sharing your story.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Timmy Gleason on Fat and Thirsty Radio. Please leave your comments on my website at www.fatandthirstyradio.com. And join me next week to explore new topics on health and wellness. Until then, remember to drink more water every day to fuel your brain and your body. This is Timmy Gleason on Fat and Thirsty Radio on the Raven International Radio Channel, signing off.